Soros. He has ties to over 30 major news organizations and donates large amounts of money to progress the New World Order. Just so you can see for yourself what kind of man he is, here are some of his quotes. It is sort of a disease when you consider yourself some kind of god, the creator of everything, but I feel comfortable about it now since I began to live it out. I admit that I have always harbored an exaggerated view of my self-importance. To put it bluntly, I fancied myself as some kind of god or an economic reformer like Keynes, each with his general theory, or even better, a scientist like Einstein. Reflexivity sounds like relativity. If truth be known, I carried some rather potent messianic fantasies with me from childhood, which I felt I had to control. Otherwise, I might end up in the loony bin. But when I made my way into the world, I wanted to indulge myself in my fantasies to the extent I could afford.
One of the supporters of the nationwide anti-Trump protests is billionaire investor and philanthropist George Soros, who's well known for his charities around the globe, of course. Soros backed at least 50 groups involved in the mass women's march against Donald Trump's inauguration earlier this month. That event drew tens of thousands of protesters across the US alone. In his native Hungary, though, politicians accuse Soros of trying to influence politics. They're proposing now to ban groups that he funds. And as Ilya Petrenko explains next, there are similar calls across more of Europe too.
A mega fortune and a knack for success. George Soros, a man who's not used to losing. But can he take that kind of hit at 86? Well, the multi-billionaire has already had to face it on the home front when Hillary lost and Donald won. He funded her and loathed him. November 8th, boom.
What we have here is an unexpected mega setback for George Soros. He's in deep trouble.
Mr. Soros was born in Hungary. His life was marked by the mission outside America, philanthropy in his homeland and to the east of it. In other words, pushing democracy in what used to be the communist bloc. Watch out for 3 capital letters, NGO. Well, it looks like Trump's win emboldened the Europeans here and there to de-Soros themselves. In Hungary, the vice president of the ruling party is already promising to use all the tools at his disposal to sweep out NGOs funded by the globalist billionaire. This is a Soros-backed newspaper in Poland. The government's refusing to talk to its reporters or advertise in it. Oops. Or on a more grassroots level, activists in Macedonia. Yeah, there's been an attempt at regime change there lately. Activists in Macedonia have launched Stop Operation Soros, SOS.
Soros has been active in Macedonia for about 20-25 years. In the last 2 years, we've seen an escalation of their activities, which has forced us to take a louder, stronger action because it's openly political and it's destabilizing the country.
There's more. No kidding. George Soros is even accused of putting the right man on the throne in the Vatican. Not exactly the communist bloc. Catholics have written to Donald Trump. Investigate and sort it out. For real. The gloves are off.
Seems so. Well, the Hungarian foreign minister, meantime, has described the activities of the Soros-funded groups in Hungary as anti-democratic, claiming they undermine the government.
George Soros founds or finances a lot of organizations in Hungary. He has a very clear, let's say, attempt or a very clear interest because he has already announced it and spoke about this very openly, that he would like this government to fail. He would like to kind of fire this government because he doesn't like our approach, doesn't like our policies. But, I mean, it's not George Soros who have to make a decision what government leads Hungary. It's the Hungarian people.
One ex-Obama administration now working at a Soros think tank. She's calling for the overthrow of President Donald Trump. We have an article. It's up on our website, written by Clifford Cunningham. And it talks about this lady, this lunatic, Rosa Brooks. She served as counselor to the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy from 2009 to 2011. And now she's working at this New America Foundation. She also worked at the State Department. She's outlined 4 ways to remove Donald Trump from office, most notably for having him declared mentally unfit. She says one possibility is that until recently I would have said that this was unthinkable, but a military coup, or at least a refusal by military leaders to obey certain orders.
This is a wide sidewalk. So many people showed up. They packed in both directions. They spilled over across the street and even onto the overflow area above. If you couldn't see behind the signs, you wouldn't know their age, sex, or skin color. You just know they were united.
Love Trump's hate!
You had to wonder how much Amari Phillips really knows about it at age 10.
Mommy, that's just said 2 bad words. I know, don't stop.
President Trump is keeping people from 7 Muslim-majority countries away from the U.S. He says he's trying to keep the country safe.
Why is fear dictating our actions, shaping our behavior?
Protesters migrated inside to keep the commander-in-chief from closing America's doors.
The way you do it is boots on the ground, moving with your feet, stopping injustice where you see it.
In turn, the airport locked its doors, but the curbside protest pushed on.
Come on!
I noticed Phillips changed the chant, and one small word made a big difference.
We stand with immigrants! We stand as immigrants!
He knows more than you might think. He and his brother were born into poverty in Ethiopia. This is their mom, who tutors kids with any religion from any country. This is their flag. This is their home.
Whose country is this? Mine. Yeah? And everyone else's. Everyone knows that this is my home and this is your home. So all he's doing is changing that.
And everyone is just headed home for the night. I can tell you, though, even on the busiest travel days of the year, I haven't seen a crowd like this out here.
Large protests continue across the country over President Trump's executive order banning entry to the U.S. for people from 7 Muslim-majority countries. Crowds have gathered at airports where men and women are being held and in city parks, including Battery Park in New York City. That's where CBS News producer Gilad Thaler is now. Gilad, what can you tell us?
Hi, Elaine. I am currently in Foley Square with a large group of protesters. This group began gathering and demonstrating in Battery Park around 2 p.m. Eastern Time. They have then had multiple speeches, including the mayor de Blasio. They quickly took to the streets chanting and singing in demonstration of the new executive order. And as you can see behind me, they still have a lot of momentum here together with signs. It's a very diverse crowd of multiple ages and religions. We've seen multiple signs talking about all faiths coming out together against this new ban that is currently only temporary for now.
U.S. President Donald Trump's executive order to speed up 2 controversial oil pipelines has sparked demonstrations in downtown Los Angeles.
We have to be the movement that sees Donald Trump to an early exit from the White House, because for him to be able to just willy-nilly sign executive orders that literally put our society into chaos tells me that he's unfit to lead.
The demonstrators marched on the city's federal building in protest against Trump's decision to revive the Keystone XL and Dakota Access oil pipelines. There was a heavy police presence at the peaceful rally. Former President Barack Obama had blocked the projects on environmental grounds. Local tribes in North Dakota say the pipeline there threatens their sacred ground and water resources under Lake Oahe. Around 700 activists as well as tribesmen have been arrested since August 2016 when they began the protest against the project.
Hundreds of Yemeni bodega owners closed their New York shops in protest of President Trump's travel ban. Small groceries, delis, and coffee shops owned by Yemeni Americans are prominent in the streets of New York City, but their owners locked the doors and turned out the lights on February 2nd. Bodega strike organizers estimate 1,000 shops across all 5 boroughs participated. Instead of tending to their shops, they rallied in the streets. Thousands protested outside Brooklyn Borough Hall on Thursday. Pictures show both American and Yemeni flags raised high above the crowd. They were taking a stand against Trump's January 27th executive order, which imposed a temporary travel ban on 7 Muslim-majority countries, including Yemen. The order also calls for an indefinite ban on Syrian refugees and a temporary suspension of all other refugee admissions. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio tweeted that he stands with the protesters for, quote, bravely shutting their doors to oppose the president's shameful executive order.
President Trump is making it much riskier to be an undocumented immigrant in Miami. Miami-Dade County Mayor Carlos Jimenez said the county will comply with Trump's executive order forcing all so-called sanctuary cities to turn over undocumented immigrants who are arrested. Sanctuary cities or counties are areas where local officials decline federal requests to hold people in jail due to their immigration status. Miami-Dade is technically considered a sanctuary county, but not because of any moral opposition. It refuses to indefinitely hold undocumented immigrants simply because the federal government doesn't foot enough of the bill for keeping them locked up. Trump signed an executive order that says sanctuary cities will lose their federal funding if they continue to deny federal requests to hold arrested immigrants. But it would only have cost the county $52,000 to detain every inmate the federal government wanted to deport in 2016. Jimenez said that wasn't worth the risk, considering Miami-Dade will get $355 million in federal funds this year.
The American media is creating hysteria amongst the population, amongst the people, to try to incite violence and to incite riots in order to get more ratings and to sell more commercials. So what happened tonight has been part of a broader pattern of the media attempting to incite violence against the people and against each other. The students here who are very hysterical, a lot of them actually aren't really students. A lot of them are just bad people. They're a criminal element who found out that this is a great way to commit crimes without any kind of punishment. The mayor of Berkeley encouraged the riots to happen. He posted on his Twitter account, "This is what happens when you try to spread hate speech." You don't hear the media saying that people need to become united. They're not blaming the Democrats for this. They're not saying that Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders or Tim Kaine should renounce this. There's clearly a double standard, and again, it's because I sincerely believe the American media wants to encourage this type of violence.